Alright, so welcome to another Thursday on the Pagan Perspective. Good morning, and I'm Yeka, your host. So this week we've been talking about the Illuminati and Satanism, Satan, that sort of thing. First, the previous hosts have done a great job covering this topic, and I agree with pretty much what they are saying. We're kind of on very similar wavelengths there, but I will go ahead, read the topic to you. This little hyper guy, who's super hyper and a little bit fat, is going to be making noise. Anyways, so I will read the topics to you and talk about them a little bit. So the first one, and these are written below of course, comes from Mr. One Spooky 4, who, first off, recognize your username, comments quite a bit on our many of our topics, so that's a lot of fun. Thank you. And they write, I know this is kind of a weird question, but I wouldn't mind you guys discussing Illuminati and your thoughts, or if you guys think it's even real, and all the symbolism it shares with pagans such as hexagrams, the Star of David, in parentheses, pentagrams, pentacles, etc., which may cause a lot of confusion among the non-pagans and other religious groups such as Christians stereotyping pagans as Satan worshippers. So the second question comes from Michael Holmes, and they ask, do Satanists believe in Satan? Also, do you believe the Illuminati are devil worshippers? Anyways, do you believe in Satan? Also, if the Illuminati aren't associated with the devil, then why is their devil stuff put in subliminally in music videos, etc.? So, starting with the Illuminati, again, the other hosts have done a great job talking a little bit about the history of them. They were a fraternal order that was officially disbanded, and this took place around the time when in Europe there was a pretty big societal switch from the Renaissance into the Industrial Revolution. That's the time period it was set in. A lot of their ideas were very contemporary with some of the other ideas of groups during that time period. You can even see some similarities between the founding ideas of the United States and a lot of other nations at that time. Officially they have been disbanded, but they were a fraternal order, much like many other groups. The Masons today still exist. I'm not really thinking of any others that still, I guess the Knights of Columbia, groups like that. And that's actually been very common throughout European history, at least the recent last millennia. In terms of, do I think that they're real, as in they are a secret order that is controlling the world and all of the different governments and trying to whatever their nefarious plan is? Not really. Really, I think that the idea is attractive to many people because then they don't have to. It's a scarier world where things aren't planned. And if it's Illuminati behind, it, which first of all, the idea of the Illuminati being the evil controlling is very contrary to a lot of what the historical group was actually about. But it's a scary idea that there isn't a plan. That it's just a whole bunch of schmucks like you and I, maybe some of them with much higher IQs than we have, with more money and political influence than a lot of us have, but that they're just these conflicting desires and ideas, and it's a whole big mess, and that's scary to a lot of people. So that's why I think that the Illuminati controlling everything, or the other conspiracy theories, whether it's the Rothschilds or the Zionists or whoever is the group that is supposedly running things, that has infiltrated everybody. That's a great story, but that's not what I think is going on. Now, do I know? Of course not. I think that if there really was some secret organization that was doing all of that stuff, it would probably be secret and we wouldn't know about it if they were able to actually infiltrate all the governments. Not really what I think is going on. In terms of the symbolism that it shares with pagans, again, a lot of the other hosts, actually I think all of them touched on this, that symbols do not necessarily mean the same thing to different groups of people. We've actually talked about this quite a lot this year so far in some of our topics such as the Kesha video. And whether those symbols actually were associated with the Illuminati, I don't know. I don't know what the history of a lot of these symbols are. My sense is that many of them have been demonized and have been used, have been associated with groups that whatever the large power is, usually the Christian church in this context, to demonize the other, to separate between the us and the them. And I think that it's a way of staying in power. So does it cause confusion? Yeah, I mean, the symbols, there are a lot of different symbols, but at the same time, a lot of symbols get reused. I mean, as Eric was talking about, these are just geometric shapes. I mean, they've been used throughout many different cultures and have meant many different things. So, moving on to Michael Holmes' question regarding Satanists believing in Satan. I'm not a Satanist. I don't believe in Satan in really any form. And I don't know too much about Satanists. The sense that I have is that there are a lot of different beliefs, a lot of different groups that exist under that umbrella term of being a Satanist. Not necessarily, some of them are devil worshippers and some of them are not. As I understand, there are the theists who actually believe in Satan as an entity, and there are the non-theists or the atheists who believe in it more as an idea. My understanding is there's a lot of influence from Nietzsche or Nietzsche, however you say his name, and that sort of school of thought. Do I believe that the Illuminati are devil worshippers? Well, the historical group seemed very much to be about separating religion from the political, and that, if they were, it doesn't seem like that was part of what their group's mission was. So I think it would be rather irrelevant. Is there a group today that calls themselves Illuminati and are devil worshippers? I have no idea, really. It's not something that enters into my life in any significant way that I'm aware of, so I don't really pay attention to it. I've got a limited amount of awake hours, a limited number of hours that I can think and have, strong, clear thoughts. So I'm very picky about where I put my focus, and that's not really part of it. So again, do I believe in Satan? Nope. And I do not believe in an entity that is evil or bad, or and I don't, past seeing it as an archetype of within the human experience and the way that we experience the world, I don't actually believe in good and evil. I think that that is a human construction. Not to say that human constructions aren't good or valid or anything like that, but I think that's the way that we can see the world, that's the framework that we put on the world, but not necessarily the way that, if we weren't here, that the world would work, if that makes sense. last part of this question is, if the Illuminati aren't associated with the devil, then why is their devil stuff put into music videos? Well, first off, what is devil stuff? Are these the symbols that we were talking about earlier that sometimes have an association with Satanism or devil worship, which are also symbols used in many other cultures? Are they, how are they, I just don't, the part of the question is assuming that there are Illuminati, that they are devil worshippers, and that it is put into music videos, and I don't know about those things. We did, of course, talk quite a bit about this in a few weeks back in the videos talking about a Kesha music video, and kind of say the same thing that I thought about that particular music video. If this is what I think the questioner is getting at. I think that those are put in there for the shock value. Eric touched on this quite a bit as well, and any press is good press, how they say. If your goal is to make money and to get attention, and the way, at least on the internet and the way the advertising works, the more views, the more money, right? The more that the advertisers can or have to pay to be around these things that are being talked about or viewed quite a bit, whether it's print or the internet or TV with the Super Bowl. Any press is good press. So I think that they are trying to get people's attention with that, and whether it actually is some nefarious group or even not a nefarious group, maybe it's a group that actually is trying to do what they consider good in the world or whatever. I highly doubt that there's that much organization. I think that things are a lot more complex than that. A little, there's what we see patterns is really coming out of emergence rather than a planned thing. So a little bit all over the place, but I hope you guys are having a great morning, a great week. If you haven't seen the other hosts' videos, definitely check them out. They've got a lot of great stuff to say. And take care. Thanks.